Everything had to begin somewhere. Before empires, before kings, before history had a name, one civilization laid the foundations of the world we live in today. This is where everything began. The Sumerians, the first civilization that changed humanity. Before empires, before crowned kings, even before history was written down, humanity learned for the first time what it meant to become a civilization. The name of that civilization was the Sumerians. The birth of the first cities around 3,500 BCE. The lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were both fertile and extremely dangerous. Floods destroyed crops. Droughts threatened life itself. The people who lived on these lands chose a different path. Instead of fleeing, they did not abandon nature. They decided to control it. They dug canals. They redirected the water. They disciplined the land. And thus, the first cities in human history emerged: Uruk, Ur, Lagash. These were not simple villages. They were the first organized societies, where tens of thousands of people lived under rules, duties, and order. The invention of writing, making thought permanent. As cities grew, human memory began to fall short. Who owned what? Who owed how much? Who broke the rules? To answer these questions, the Sumerians made one of the greatest inventions in history: writing. At first, these writings were simple marks pressed onto clay tablets, records of grain, livestock, and taxes. But over time, these symbols evolved into cuneiform writing. Thoughts no longer disappeared. Knowledge could be preserved. Power became permanent. With writing, history began. Not justice, but order. Sumerian society was not equal. There was a strict hierarchy. At the top were kings who ruled in the name of the gods. Beside them stood the priests. At the bottom were farmers, laborers, and slaves. For the Sumerians, what mattered was not justice, but order. There were rules, and these rules were not questioned. Laws existed not to protect society, but to control it. People were not free, but there was order, and that order stood for thousands of years. Living with the gods. For the Sumerians, the gods were not distant. They were not in the sky, but at the very center of the city. Each city had a patron god. People bargained with their gods for abundance, for protection, for victory. The gods were not merciful. They were capricious. They did not forgive mistakes. Because of this, the Sumerian people built a belief system based on fear and obedience. The gods had to be kept satisfied, otherwise disaster was inevitable. Ziggurats, power reaching toward the sky. At the center of Sumerian cities, massive structures rose, ziggurats. They were temples, but they were also a message. The gods are here. Power is here. Ziggurats symbolize the distance between humans and gods. No matter how high you climbed, you could never reach the god. These structures built not only belief, but authority. Gilgamesh, the first human story. The Sumerians did not only invent writing, they also invented storytelling. The earliest known epic in human history is the Epic of Gilgamesh. This epic tells the story of a powerful king searching for immortality. But the message at the end is clear. Humans are mortal. Power is temporary. Immortality lies not in what humans can achieve, but in what they leave behind. This is a question that continues to make humanity think even thousands of years later. Collapse, the end of the first civilization. The Sumerians were powerful, but they were fragile. The land grew tired. It became salted. Productivity declined. Wars broke out between cities. External threats increased. And slowly, the Sumerian cities collapsed. But the Sumerians did not disappear. Their knowledge, their laws, their gods, and their writing were passed on to other civilizations. The Akkadians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, all of them were built upon the legacy of the Sumerians. Did the Sumerians truly end? The Sumerians no longer exist today. But the foundations of the writing we use, the origins of law, and the beginning of city life all trace back to them. The Sumerians were the first civilization, and those who are first never truly disappear. If this story made you think, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories that shaped humanity, subscribe to Human History.